Be ready. 5 seconds.
Honorable Chairperson, sir, I thank you for this opportunity given to me to speak on the Public Examinations Bill 2024. This is quite an interesting bill that the Government of India has brought into this Parliament. I understand that when the government has seen through all the setbacks that have happened in the previous years, when a law is being enacted and is brought in the Parliament, it means that there had been some bad instances in the past and are now bringing a law. One big scam that even shook entire India was the Vapam scam that brought the nation to the foot and wanted to ask what happened, when did it happen, how it happened, and who all were involved in it. The government was silent at that time. After that, many competitive exams were held in all parts of the country. There was news in the newspapers and on television that people were jumping into the windows and prodding the candidates. They were telling the candidates all the answers from the window. There were other candidates also. It was all there in the news. The government was silent about that. After all these years, there are so many people who have been punished. A study conducted by one of the leading papers says that 1.5 lakh students have lost their livelihoods. These questions have not been answered in the bill at all. The bill only talks about punishment and fine being imposed, but the bill has not talked anything about how these can be controlled. The problem may be of language also, but the government of India is very stubborn on the language policy where the exam has to be held in Hindi only. In regional areas, many of the candidates are from the state boards and they are not proficient in Hindi. They are not able to answer these questions in Hindi. Therefore, the chances are less for them to pass the exam. The government of India should have a policy to open training centers for the candidates. The government has not done anything about that. The government has done nothing. It has not been addressed or discussed here. The students who are from government schools, government colleges, or private universities get exchanged at certain intervals so that even the students from the government institutions are also getting the same kind of value addition in courses. In such a way, they can go for the competitive exams also. Therefore, the well being of the candidates is being taken care of. They fairly perform in the exams. The government constituted a committee. The states have not been consulted. The states are not being involved in these committees. An arrest can be made with a warrant and a bail will not be a matter of right. To summarize my submission to this august House, I request the Government of India to break this barrier of language. This is number one. Secondly, please involve the states, encourage the states, give them the required funds. Chairperson, sir, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak on this bill out of turn on my request. Sir, I strongly oppose this bill. So, I fully support my learned brother who has just now spoken about it. This bill is being introduced and also being taken for discussion in a very light manner. I have gone through the debates of the Rajya Sabha also. It is missing. I would like to know from the minister what is the intent of the bill. In the name of ease of doing business and in the name of ease of living, you are taking away the entire federal principles of the country, the Constitution. Also, ecological protection laws are being violated. That is the reason why I strongly oppose this bill. This is a very simple way in which it is being introduced, but its impact will be very high. If you go through the history to know why this law was enacted, it is very clear that on the basis of the United Nations Conference on the Human Environment held in the year 1972, three acts were enacted: Water Act, Air Act, Environment Act. Those were the landmark legislations the Parliament had passed subsequent to the independence and subsequent to this conference. They have passed resolutions. I would like to know from the minister when these resolutions were passed. Normally, this comes in the statement of objects and reasons. Politically, I would like to know about it. It is not there in the file. It is not there in the record. It is not there in the statement of objects and reasons. I am opposing this bill on two counts. The first one is that the principle of federalism are violated, and second one is that the laws are being violated. Now, the whole world is sensitive to ecological protection. Strong demand is coming from the public to have stringent laws so as to protect the nature as well as to meet the requirements in future. All the ministers were very vocal in supporting the protection of environment and ecology. After that also we had a discussion, but we have never expected such a law from the minister. Global warming and climate change are the hot topics for discussion in forums. In the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change Conference, all the nations, including India, took pledge to mitigate carbon emission. We have decided to reach zero carbon emission stage, and we are planning our programs to achieve that target. Even the Prime Minister has made a very specific statement where we are committed to have zero carbon emission and the programs are being planned. Carbon emission can be abated by mitigating the pollution, both water pollution and air pollution. Both water pollution and air pollution are having their own impacts on the carbon emission. There is no doubt about it. But it is surprising to note that the government is coming up with a legislation to dilute the law.